Well, gentlemen, it's time for us to shift over a little bit now. Well, talk about your awkward segues, huh?
TV critics we
Yes,
are
we're going
now,
to
aren't
become
we?
TV critics, but we're talking about politicians behaving badly. Now we're going to talk about a bunch of young people, 20 of them to be precise, behaving very badly. And earlier this week, on Tuesday night, the UK version of The Apprentice. Now, instead of having the Donald sitting across and saying you're fired, we have Sir. No, he's no longer Sir.
Lord.
He's Lord Alan Sugar. Lord Sugar.
The Dark Lord, Alan Sugar.
He's the one now that sits and says, "You're fired. You're fired." Impressions, gentlemen.
Well, I mean,
I can't. Dario, yeah, go for it, mate.
Well, I think that my takeaway from it was that capitalism is idiot-proof. It really is. I mean, some of these guys. There's one guy I thought the only way I could describe him, he's kind of like possessing the cloned DNA of Forrest Gump, Ayn Rand, and Gordon Gekko, but without their charm. You know, I mean. And so somebody on Twitter, I can't remember who it was, but somebody on Twitter said that the Apprentice is actually produced by fundamentalist Marxists in order to discredit capitalism. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's amusing to watch. You can't, but I'm certain that the reality aspect of it is, it's for the birds. The contestants know that they're playing a game, that they're playing up to the camera. It's all ridiculous. I'm sure in terms of the auditions that people went through, they're looking for people who are gonna perform and gonna be over the top. So it's just a game show, really.
It was so funny to watch. There were two characters in that first episode, and I was only able to browse the second one because of my long train ride last night. But the young black guy, who's just so full of himself, but the woman who was the team leader in the first episode, telling them to sex it up a bit and to make sure they wore, sexy dresses and the rolling of the eyes by the rest.
Feminism is alive and well, gentlemen.
Yes, and you wonder, what are they thinking? What is going through their heads when they're actually,
And then last night the guy goes to the pitch with the jumper and says, "Well, you wouldn't wear this out in public." I mean, absolutely fantastic salesmanship there, from these arch entrepreneurs of the future of the UK. It's
Why did he say you're fired? And why not what you're sacked? What's that all about? And the other thing that gets me is that the guys are all, it's a very trendy thing, this, I suppose. They're all kind of unshaven, aren't they?
The great unwashed.
You're not going to go for that look then, Phil, in the future.
No, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we already did skinny jeans last week.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, yeah. I think it should be a regular segment, Phil's fashion report.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, shows like The Apprentice bring out the worst in human characteristics, don't they? I mean, they're having a go at each other. They're all mates in the room and where they're staying. But around the boardroom, I mean, it's really vicious, isn't it?
The nails and the knives come out.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, I'll say anything to do anything so that Sir Alan, or Lord Sugar, excuse me. See, he was Sir Alan for the first 8 seasons of the show, and then suddenly he got promoted, and I don't quite understand what was involved in all that.
His number plate is AMS something.
One, yeah.
AMS
one, Alan
Michael
one.
Sugar Trading.
Yeah.
Well, that's the Amstrad thing.
Well, the funny thing about this is that boardroom is a set in an industrial estate. So when you watch the end of the office, I had an opportunity to go and tour it, and it's literally this set that has all of these walls that are false and all of these two-way mirrors that they can shoot through, and the outer room. So the outer room and the boardroom itself don't exist, but they give you the impression that it's in the tallest tower over on Canary Wharf.
So that bit when they say Lord Sugar's ready for he didn't really mean that.
Oh, well, he called it. Oh my God, they're not telling the truth on television. What are we going to do?
I mean, I think it's interesting as well, because obviously if entrepreneurs come up with a good idea and it is something that solves a problem or whatever it might be, and then that sells, that's absolutely fantastic. But, this whole program, it seems to me, is sort of created around this notion of creating a false need creating materialism where it really isn't required. And they're trying to the sort of lack of intelligence or the superficiality of the ideas or the development that these characters have is quite troubling in a way. If these are supposed to be the hotshot great people who are taking Britain forward in the future.
Yeah, and yet last year, and I don't remember what the product was, but it was one of their challenges where they had to go and sell it to a store. The women ended up winning that challenge hands down by an enormous margin, because one of the major chains ordered like 300,000 units.
Right.
Yeah, and even Sugar was like, man, that's the best we've ever had as a result of coming out of this show. But you're right. I mean, it's edited to capture the sheer lunacy of what's going on in the moment.
And you touched on it absolutely, Dario. They pick people who make good telly. I mean, the people in charge will be obviously TV producers, TV executives, and they know what they want. They know what the product will be that they want, and they will pick characters. So it's about television. It's about the media again. It's not about business really at all.
Well, I'm going to make you all watch the X Factor live.
Oh no!
Next week, and that's another franchise that absolutely blows my mind. Is that they started the first of their live shows here in the UK last week with Grumpy Simon and Cheryl being back, who doesn't get along with anybody, and Scary Spice, and you can tell I have kids because we're always watching these shows. But they literally went in one show. You saw 16 acts, and they cut it down by 2. So this week they've got 14. Then next week they'll have 12. Then next week they'll have 10. So this is going to be, like that monster in the back that rises from the swamp. It cannot be killed.
Well, that's a classic example, you see. I mean, there are basically 2 types of X Factor people. There are ones that are very, very bad, that we can laugh at and think, oh, well, that's funny, ho, ho, ho. And there are ones that are very good and we think they're brilliant, you know. I mean, that's what they want. That's what the TV people want. They want very, very bad ones and very, very good ones.
Well, there's a very, very bad one that's made it now at least to the second of the live shows. His name is Stevie, and he runs from a call center at the RAC, and he's got this big toothy grin. He can't sing worth a damn, but he's an entertainer. Yeah. And the audience absolutely loves him because he puts his heart into it. And one show he brought his little daughter out and gave her a hug on stage, and everybody's "Oh, isn't that sweet?" But this guy has beaten out some really talented people.
I think that I mean, I'm sorry, but I think X Factor is just pure evil. It really is. I mean, it's either the sort of baying mob laughing at these guys who can't sing for toffee, and I'm always in two minds whether that those people are actually. Where do they get their sense of I can sing and I'm going to be a pop star from? That's my first question. So we're all invited to laugh at that. And then second, they get these young kids on mostly and promise them this or give them the opportunity or the sense that here's this dream and fantasy that you can get to. I mean, you think about it, how many people from X Factor have gone on to sustain careers and how many have gone on to, have psychological problems? It's probably not a great ratio in that regard.
And not a big difference between the two.
Exactly. I think it's really kind of problematic, the ideal that it sells to its public.
Yeah.